There are moments in the NBA that transcend the hardwood, moments that ignite entire fan bases and send waves through every sports talk show in America. This week, one of those moments arrived, a spark that came not from a player's dunk or a buzzer beater, but from the sharp words of the Spurs head coach, aimed squarely at the Golden State Warriors. And believe me, Dub Nation felt it like a punch to the gut. From San Antonio to San Francisco, the echo of those words reverberated through social media like an earthquake. The Spurs coach, known for his sharp tongue and stoic expression, decided to poke the bear. And that bear, my friends, wears blue and gold. He didn't just comment on the Warriors, he provoked them. He questioned the dynasty, hinted at the end of an era, and even dared to say that the Spurs understand the game better than Golden State ever did. For Warriors fans, that was more than disrespect, it was blasphemy. This is the franchise that revolutionized basketball, that changed how the world views the three-point line, that turned teamwork and pace into art. Yet now, a rival coach wants to rewrite that story? Dub Nation will not let that stand. As the news broke, every Warriors supporter felt the adrenaline surge. It's not just a rivalry, it's personal. The Spurs and Warriors have clashed in legendary battles, from the days of Tim Duncan and Tony Parker to the prime of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. But this latest jab? It hit differently. It wasn't about X's and O's. It was about pride. When reporters asked the Spurs coach to clarify his words, he smirked and said, "Let's just say the Warriors used to play beautiful basketball, used to." That word, used to, set off alarms across the Bay Area. Used to? Are we pretending that Curry's not still redefining gravity every night? That Draymond isn't still orchestrating defense like a symphony? That the Warriors aren't still the heartbeat of innovation in the NBA? Every Warriors fan knows what that statement really meant. It wasn't analysis, it was provocation. It was designed to stir the pot, to test Golden State's pride, and maybe, just maybe, to throw them off balance ahead of their next clash. But here's the thing, you don't provoke champions without consequences. The Warriors have heard it all before. People said the dynasty was done in 2019. They said Curry couldn't carry the team after KD left. They said Klay was finished after his injuries. Yet in 2022, we raised another banner. And now, with this new insult echoing across the league, Dub Nation smells revenge. Inside Chase Center, you can feel the shift. Practices have been sharper. The intensity has climbed. Even the rookies are talking like veterans. We heard what he said, one player reportedly told a local journalist. "We'll remember. This isn't just bulletin board material, it's rocket fuel. And when the Warriors get fueled by disrespect, history has shown what happens next. Remember when people said Curry couldn't lead a team without Durant? He responded by dropping MVP numbers. Remember when Draymond was called washed? He answered with defensive masterclass after defensive masterclass. The Spurs coach may think he's playing psychological chess, but he just woke up the sleeping dragon of the Bay. The Warriors aren't done, they're reloading. The chemistry is coming back, the rotations are clicking, and the swagger, that legendary joyful swagger, is returning. Even Steve Kerr couldn't help but smirk when asked about the comments. "Everyone's entitled to their opinion," he said, with that calm, knowing tone that hides fire beneath. But the game has a funny way of reminding people. Translation: get ready for fireworks when these two teams meet again. The rivalry between Golden State and San Antonio has always been about respect, the student and the master, the old guard and the new wave. But lately, it's turned into something more volatile. The Warriors have moved from the hunters to the hunted, and the Spurs coach seems desperate to reclaim a piece of that lost spotlight. Still, Warriors fans aren't worried. We've seen this movie before. The noise, the doubts, the outside voices trying to bury the dynasty. And every single time, the Dubs have found a way to rise from the ashes like the phoenix of the Bay. Let's not forget, Steph Curry is still here. Klay Thompson, no matter what the critics say, is still capable of catching fire and dropping 40 in a quarter. Draymond Green still commands the floor with that blend of genius and madness that defines our culture. Add in Wiggins, Moody, Kuminga, and the emerging depth, this team is far from done. So when a rival coach mocks the Warriors, he's not just attacking a team, he's challenging a culture, a brotherhood, a legacy built on unselfishness and trust. He's daring the impossible, to shake the unshakable. Social media exploded after the comments. Fans flooded Twitter with clips of Curry shimmying, of Clay's game success, of Draymond barking in people's faces. The message was loud and clear: don't disrespect greatness. Don't poke the bear when the bear wears 3 championship rings on each paw. Across talk shows, analysts debated whether the Spurs coach was out of line. Some said he was just being competitive. Others called it psychological warfare. But for Warriors Nation, the verdict was unanimous. This was an insult, and payback is coming. The next matchup between the Warriors and Spurs now feels like it's been circled in blood on the calendar. Tickets are skyrocketing. The Chase Center will be a cauldron of noise. And you can bet that every player wearing blue and gold will step on that floor with fire in their eyes. Curry, especially, thrives on moments like these. Doubt him, challenge him, mock his legacy, and he'll torch you with a smile. That's the beauty of Steph. He doesn't need to talk trash. He lets his game preach. And when that ball leaves his hands, the whole arena holds its breath. Warriors fans have seen it all: the heartbreak, the glory, the rebuilds, and the rebirths. But this new chapter feels different. It's not just about proving something to the league. It's about defending a legacy that's still alive, still breathing, and still terrifying to those who thought it was over. And make no mistake, that's what the Spurs coach fears: that the dynasty isn't dead. That the Warriors are still capable of rewriting the ending to their story. That behind every Curry smile and Kerr quote lies a silent rage ready to explode into 3-point avalanches and defensive clinics. Maybe that's why he said what he said. Maybe he's trying to provoke the inevitable, because deep down, he knows that when the Warriors get angry, they become unstoppable. Even rival players chimed in. "Man, he shouldn't have said that," one Western Conference veteran said anonymously. "You don't talk about the Warriors like that. They remember everything." Dub Nation knows what comes next. The storylines will build, the tension will rise, and when tip-off comes, the Warriors will have the ultimate chance to respond, not with words, but with buckets. With ball movement so smooth it makes opponents dizzy. With that electric energy that turns every 3 into a thunderclap. And when the final buzzer sounds, maybe, just maybe, the Spurs coach will learn what generations of doubters have learned: you can't provoke champions without paying the price. Because the Warriors aren't just a basketball team. They're a statement. A movement. A reminder that joy, unity, and brilliance still have a place in the modern NBA. So let him talk. Let him provoke. Let him believe the dynasty has faded. The Warriors don't need validation from the outside world. They've already carved their names into history. What's coming now is just another chapter, another opportunity to remind everyone who we are. We are the Golden State Warriors. The team that danced through dynasties. The franchise that turned criticism into fuel. The brotherhood that doesn't crumble, it evolves. And when the Spurs come to town, every pass, every screen, every shot will carry a message louder than any interview: we heard you. Dub Nation doesn't forget. The Bay doesn't forgive. And the court remembers everything. The echo of that provocation will fade eventually, drowned out by the sound of net after net after net. Because while others talk, the Warriors create art. And soon, the league will remember that you don't awaken sleeping legends. You respect them. Until then, the fire burns. The noise builds. The countdown begins. Warriors versus Spurs, a game that just became personal. And when the lights dim and the crowd roars, Golden State will do what it has always done best: answer disrespect with dominance. This is Dub Nation. We rise. We fight. We remember. And we never back down. But the story doesn't stop there. After the Spurs coach's comments, whispers began circulating that his words weren't off the cuff, they were strategic. According to insiders, he wanted to light a fire under his own team, using the Warriors as a public target. But that gamble might backfire spectacularly. Because when you use the Warriors as motivation, you awaken something much larger than basketball. You awaken a legacy, a culture of winning built on humility and hard work. And Dub Nation, known for turning disrespect into domination, is already rallying around the team with ferocity not seen since the 2022 title run. Behind closed doors, reports suggest that Steph, Clay, and Draymond gathered the squad after practice. No cameras, no speeches for the press, just a closed-door moment among Warriors. Let them talk, Draymond reportedly said. "We'll do what we always do. We'll respond on the court." That's the DNA of this franchise. No panic, no theatrics, just precision and pride. It's the same mentality that fueled their rise from underdogs to global icons, and the same energy that's starting to hum beneath the surface again. Even among the Warriors' younger players, the message has landed. Jonathan Kuminga has been working overtime, fine-tuning his footwork, adjusting his defensive reads. Moses Moody has been drilling corner threes like clockwork. The vibe around the team feels less like a slump and more like the quiet before a storm. And the Spurs coach might be the one who triggered that transformation, unknowingly feeding the very beast he sought to taunt. Media pundits, of course, jumped on the narrative. They replayed the coach's quote over and over, dissecting every syllable like it was state policy. But through all the noise, one truth stands clear. When the Warriors feel disrespected, history tends to repeat itself, with confetti. They've turned slander into motivation too many times to count, and each time, the result was spectacular. Meanwhile, fans have flooded comment sections, creating digital battlegrounds where pride clashes with arrogance. Spurs supporters argue their coach was just being honest. Warriors fans respond with highlight reels and ring emojis. Every platform has turned into an extension of Chase Center, echoing with chants of, "Let's go Warriors." It's not just a rivalry anymore, it's a war of legacies, of philosophies, of basketball ideologies. And the irony? The Spurs' own system, once the gold standard for teamwork and discipline, was the very blueprint that inspired Kerr's motion offense in the first place. The Warriors evolved that model into something faster, freer, and deadlier. Now, the master's successor dares to mock the student? The poetic tension writes itself. And when the teams meet, it won't just be a game, it'll be a symbolic duel between eras. Steve Kerr, ever the diplomat, may not respond publicly again, but those who know him understand how competitive he is behind that calm exterior. He's seen enough in his career to know when an opponent's words can be turned into momentum. Expect adjustments, expect intensity, and expect the Warriors' locker room to feel united like never before. In the Bay Area, the energy has shifted. Ticket sales are climbing, local sports talk is buzzing, and fans are clearing their schedules for the next Spurs matchup. It's more than anticipation, it's vengeance wrapped in excitement. Warriors fans live for moments like this, when the world doubts, when rivals poke, when the dynasty is tested once again. Because that's when greatness roars back. And if there's one thing the basketball world should have learned by now, it's that you never, ever provoke Golden State. The Warriors don't respond with press conferences. They respond with highlight reels, with half-court daggers, with that swagger that says, "You forgot who we are." And when the dust settles, there's always one truth left standing. The Warriors talk with their game, and their game speaks louder than any coach ever could. So, as Dub Nation braces for the next showdown, one question echoes across the Bay. Did the Spurs coach just make the biggest mistake of the season? Because when that ball goes up and the Chase Center lights blaze golden, every word he uttered will come back to haunt him, in the language of three-pointers, ball movement, and championship fire. Before we dive into the next update, help us keep the Warriors' spirit alive by subscribing to the channel and smashing that like button. Stay connected with all the latest Golden State Warriors news. Now, let's get into it.